Hello, my fellow hunters. For the last couple of weeks, the Monster Hunter team has dropped a lot of information for Monster Hunter Wilds, and also released trailers showing us 2 new locations, and also showing us a lot of brand new monsters, and also a few returning ones, along with the flagship monster. So I'll be discussing about a lot of things that's been shown from the demo, and also a lot of stuff that was shown in the last couple of trailers. I'll be going over the monster roster, the new locations, weapon loadouts, quest changes, and much more. So let's jump right into the video and start with the monster roster. Dashogama was the first large monster to be revealed in Monster Hunter Wilds. A gnarly looking fang beast that hunts in a small pack of 3. Dashogama will be the first real large monster we take on in the Windward Plains, and will be the most common monster to be roaming the plains, since it hunts during all the season changes. It was showcased a lot in the demos and has been shown to be an invasive species, since it can travel to other locales. Chatacabra is the first amphibian to be revealed for Wilds, a cave dweller type of monster that has features of a frog mixed with a crocodile. Chatacabra uses its saliva to affix stones to their forelimbs in order to enhance their attacks. Chatacabra is going to be an interesting monster, since it's the only amphibian in Wild so far, and it was showed off in many demos, and I'm happy that we got amphibians in Wilds. Balahora will be the first monster that we hunt in Monster Hunter Wilds. Balahora are desert-dwelling leviathans that hunt in large packs and use their serpentine-like bodies to create quicksand traps. Balahora will be the monster that introduces us to the new herd mechanic, which is going to take time to learn, since we need to separate the herd from the alpha. Balahora was also the first Leviathan to be revealed, and it looks like they have fixed the Leviathan skeleton for consoles, which could mean some more Leviathans could return in future DLC. Maybe Legiacris can come back at last. Humacris is a small brute wyvern. At first, I thought it was a bird wyvern, but nope, it is a brute. Humacris is the first brute wyvern to be revealed in Wilds, and it has similar characteristics to Glavenus, such as a long tail that it uses as its main weapon of defense. It even ignites the tail by dragging it across the ground, just like a Glavenus. Basically, a fire chicken Glavenus, and I love it. Humacris wasn't shown that much, so for now, we know that it roams the Windward Plains and will be an early game monster that hunts alone. But I think Humacris is going to be one of my favourite monsters in Wilds, and I cannot wait to hunt it. Lala Barina is a Temnosaurian that resides in the Scarlet Forest. Its thorax can be opened at will, resembling a rose in bloom. Lalabarina is a unique species that we haven't seen before. Since this is the 5th spider monster in the whole series, and from what we've seen in gameplay, it looks like it will be a paralysis type monster. So I think Lalabarina will be the earliest monster to obtain power weapons from. Lalabarina also has some pretty looking armor and weapons. So it's a monster that I will be farming since we've seen its charge blade in one of the previews. And since we got the skeleton for it, I hope we get more spider monsters in future DLC. Such as Nisilla for example. Congalala is a returning fanged beast that was showed in the Scarlet Forest demo. And it looks like it hasn't been changed that much, but it looks pretty good since it's been quite a few years since we last seen it in the main series game. This time around, Congalala has been changed to a herd monster, which makes sense because in the older games, it was always with younger Congalala. But the main thing is now its moveset and stage attacks are still here, which is going to be fun to see in HD. Yankutku is also a returning monster, but hasn't been seen since Generations Ultimate. An early game bird wyvern that likes to eat conchu. Yankaku is a fun little chicken that is related to Yangaruga. Yankaku hasn't really been shown in gameplay since it's only been shown at the end of one of the trailers, but it is confirmed to be a herd monster. So a herd of Yankaku is going to be chaotic. And I can't wait to fight Yankaku again. I'm glad he's returned. Utduna, the apex predator of the Scarlet Forest. A new Leviathan that rules the Scarlet Forest. It's mostly sighted during the downpour cycle of the Scarlet Forest. It's a huge Leviathan that creates a veil around itself using its own bodily fluids. Kinda similar to Namiao, to be honest. Utduna was shown in the Scarlet Forest demo briefly, and it looks like Utduna will be a difficult monster at first, mainly because of its size. And we also see its ultimate attack, which looks very deadly, since it's just a massive tidal wave. I cannot wait to hunt Utduna since it's most likely the best monster for water weapons, but we have to wait and see. Raydao, a flying wyvern that rules the Windward Plains. It has adapted to the lightning that accompanies the sand tide. It mostly appears during the thunderstorms. Raydao is a unique flying wyvern that looks like a mixture of a Seregios and an Astalos, but it is very different from any other flying wyvern. Raydao can discharge a powerful railgun-like attack with so much electricity that it can cut many hunters. It has been shown a lot in the Monster Hunter Wilds demos, and it has become a fan favorite monster, and I can see why. Raydao's design is just so cool, and its fight looks real fun. So I'd say Raydao is probably going to be my most haunted monster in Wilds, and most likely my favorite monster. Romp Apollo is an odd looking brute wyvern that inhabits areas of the deep oil silt within the oil well basin. We haven't seen a monster using oil as its main source of attack ever since Gargamazios with his explosive tar, making Rump Apollo one of the most unique brute wyverns in the series. Turns out the brain hammer and the armor set comes from Rump Apollo, which means I'm gonna have to farm Rump Apollo for his hammer when Wilds comes out. Agro Rakan is a new fanged beast that shares the same skeleton as Rajang, a fire monkey that can interact with the environment, and it also has an enraged state just like Rajang. The flame-like protrusions on its back begin to glow, make it look like it's on fire, which is badass to be honest. If Agro Rakan is just as aggressive as a Rajang, then his fight is going to be intense as hell. The Black Flame was the final monster to be revealed so far, and as of right now, the Black Flame is currently unknown. It's a fire octopus which shares the same skeleton as Nakarkos, either meaning it's a new class of monster or it's an elder dragon. It's the apex of the oil well basin, but we don't know anything about the Black Flame. But I honestly think it's going to be an elder dragon, just like Nakarkos. Arkfeld, the White Wraith, is the flagship of Monster Hunter Wilds. A new flying wyvern that has chain-like appendages extending from its wings. A design that we haven't seen before. And it also says that this species was extinct, but somehow it has returned, and its ecology remains to be a mystery. But we will know more about Arkveld when Wilds comes out. Honestly, I really like this roster of monsters so far. We have pretty much most of the monster classes except for snake wyverns and elder dragons. It looks like the Monster Hunter team has listened to feedback from World and made this roster much more diverse compared to World, when World had too many flying wyverns. There is still a lot of monsters to be revealed, and we will most likely start to see some elder dragons soon, and possibly more unique monsters for the 4th locale. And I cannot wait to see what they show us next. Alright, now let's move on to the locales. The Windward Plains is going to be the first locale we get to explore. It was the first locale to be shown in the very first trailer, and we now know how big the Windward Plains is from the public demos that they have shown. The Windward Plains is a diverse region filled with sandy deserts, swaying grasslands, and twisting rock formations. The Windward Plains experiences an inclemency known as a sand tide, a huge sandstorm that is followed by a raging thunderstorm. We have seen this feature in many trailers and videos, and it drastically changes the flow of the hunt, since the raging thunderstorms brings many dangers that we have to deal with. From what we've seen from the demos, the Windward Plains locale is bigger than any base map that we had in World. The locales are also multi-layered in design, and are also connected to one another by having underground pathways that lead to the other locales. The Scarlet Forest is found by following the river from the Windward Plains, which leads us to the Scarlet Forest, a rainforest-like locale that has towering trees and many rivers, and also a coastline. Many different areas of the Scarlet Forest have red-coloured water, which gives it its name. Just like the Windward Plains, the Scarlet Forest experiences an inclemency known as a downpour, which floods most of the locale. From what we've seen from the Scarlet Forest demo, this locale is just as big as the Windward Plains. And also when the weather is clear, the locale looks very beautiful, and it's a locale that I want to explore even more than the Windward Plains. The Oil Well Basin is a volcanic region where oil wells and raging fires burn. This locale is different from the previous two. This locale looks like it was man-made, since there is a large forge and man-made structures inside the oil well basin. Since this forge produces a lot of oil and heat, the monsters in this locale have adapted to live near the forge, just like real animals in our world when they adapt to living near humans. It is not known if this locale has inclemency, but we will find out when more info is revealed. So far, I really like the locales, and I cannot wait to see what the next locale is going to be. And let's move on to the weapon loadouts. We've known for a while that for wilds, we can now take 2 weapons on our hunts, and can change them at any time. This has changed the way we take on a hunt, since we can combine 2 of our weapons and develop strategies for different monsters. For the rest of this section, I'm gonna let my friend Rizik take over, since he can explain this much better than I.
Hello hunters, this is Rizik, and today I want to talk about us having 2 weapons in Monster Hunter Wilds. This has sparked a lot of conversation in the community about what people are wanting to take and theorizing this and that. Seen a lot of conversations about the pocket hunting horn, but that's not really what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the kind of depth we can expect to see having 2 weapons bring to the game. Now, we've known about being able to bring 2 weapons pretty early on. A lot of people had guessed that's what would happen based on the very first announcement trailer, and they confirmed it shortly after. And that gives us a ton of possibility. That is 105 unique weapon combinations. That's including pairing weapons with themselves and then pairing with every other one. And I've got a chart here, I'll show you. 105, that's a lot. And that's a lot of options when it comes to hunting. And not just for solo play, not just for, oh, my build is, I'm going to do a hunting horn and a gun lance because I like the 2 weapons. But it has a lot of implications for team play, as well as monster designs, I think we'll see. Take, for example, Baroth. Whenever Barroth has mud armor, it takes more damage on its hit zones from water damage until you wash the mud away. Then it's more susceptible to fire damage. Or like with Namiel, its hit zones change whether it's wet or dry. So on monsters like that, you'll be able to bring a weapon to deal with both states. And with having more tools, I believe Capcom's going to give us more opportunities to utilize those tools. I forget where I had seen it, but I saw somebody mentioned, what if they had the 2 weapon switching in like Alatreon? Imagine you get the elemental trip, and then you can switch to your raw weapon to do even more damage to it. And I would just love to see more mechanics like that in Wilds, especially now that we have the capabilities to deal with it. And that's just on individual level, solo play. Imagine the kind of strategies teams can come up with whenever they have 105 different combinations to pick from. Like a dual blades player, they could pack a paralysis set of dual blades, get the para off, switch to their main weapon, and keep going. They get their utility from the dual blades that inflict paralysis. They can go back to their damage and continue helping the team that way. Or it could help a bow gunner. Maybe they missed a couple of shots, para set up, and bam! You got a real easy way to adapt. Or bow gunner can take multiple status guns. Have one that's, say, dedicated to more elemental or status focused bow gun, and then have your sticky bow gun to get those KOs, if that's still any good in Wilds. Hopefully it's not overly broken like it is in the past couple, but just as an example. Another one I've seen floating around that I don't know how serious it would be. It'd probably be pretty hard to juggle this, but some people have mentioned bringing all hunting horns. Everybody plays their buffs, and then have one person with Melody Extend keep all the buffs up and going. Which might be, like I said, tough to pull off, but it'd be hilarious. And that's just a couple of the over 100, like I said before, combinations of weapons. I'm really excited to see how people come up with different strategies and how different groups will have different strategies with their own setups for weapons against certain monsters. So I'm really excited to see what kind of depth something as simple as just bringing 2 weapons is going to have to an already deep game. And then on top of that, you have all the more enhanced move sets of all the different weapons, and I think we're just going to have a real good time with it. But me personally, I'll probably bring 2 hunting horns, or maybe a hunting horn and a gun lance, just depending on what I feel like hunting with at the time. I'm going to have to talk to my buddies and see what kind of crowd control setups we can get going.
Ryan has summed it up quite well in his video, so go and check him out if you like. The link to his channel will be in the description. So yeah, having 2 weapons opens up many ways to optimize our builds in Wilds, and it gives us more utility in solo or squad hunts, which is something that we need to dive into when the full game releases. And so let's move on to the quests and rewards. We have known for a while that quests have been changed for Monster Hunter Wilds. Since I've played the beta, I found out you can still accept quests at the hub, but also you can start quests while you're on expeditions, which is a nice change, since we don't have to go back to the hub after each quest. In order to start a quest while out in the world, you just have to find the target monster and attack it, which triggers the quest to start. Another thing I have learned is that investigations from World Iceborne have returned for Wilds. So in order to do investigations, you have to accept them at base camp, which is just like any other Monster Hunter game. but it looks like investigations will be our main quests to farm for materials, decorations, and augment materials. It's possible that the end game of Wilds would involve grinding out high-level investigations for decorations and augment material. It's just that we have no clue what kind of powered up monsters that will be in the investigations. I doubt it would be tempered monsters again, since that was World's gimmick. And also for Sunbreak it was afflicted monsters. So we will have to wait and see. So overall, I really like everything that we've seen from WoW so far. All the new monsters are unique in their own way, and they represent their monster classes quite well. After playing the beta, the combat is much more fluid, and the monsters respond better for when being hit, compared to Rise. But it also has a learning curve when it comes to performing the offset counters and perfect dodges. It will take practice to fully use it, which we all will have to learn with the full release. The Windward Plains feels more natural and alive compared to the locales of World. You can see how much they have improved the locales. Everything that we have seen so far is just top tier. Monster Hunter Wilds is possibly going to be the best game to be released next year. Since the beta is only available for a week, we won't be able to learn more about Wilds until the last few trailers get released closer to the release date. And I want to know what you guys think of Monster Hunter Wilds. Do you like what we've seen so far? If so, comment down below, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and subscribe if you want to see more Monster Hunter content. So I think I have talked for long enough, and I will catch you guys at the next video. Thank you all for watching, and of course, happy hunting!